Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the invite, and it's really pleasure to be part of this interaction and talking about subject of cybersecurity. There was a question somebody asked: what is the relation of cybersecurity and digitization in fraud management or fraud investigation? Right. So I'll try to cover how this subject of cybersecurity, which has come to such an inflection point. So is the privacy. And more importantly, the AI and what changes the artificial intelligence will bring to the table for the profession that you work in, all of us work in, basically. Right? So we talk about digitization a lot, right? So if I have to really talk about digitization, so digitization is working with technology, right? Be it artificial intelligence to IoT to high performance computing to networking to mobility to robotics to even nowadays AR, VR and a lot of other technology basically, right? And we are able to work with this technology because the protocols, technology standards, the interfaces, the architectures, and now cloud is helping us to increasingly engage with it basically. And this digitization, if you take an example of this drone technology for that matter, or mobility for that matter, we are increasingly bringing digitization from typical IT to more physical world, right? And when we look at digitization, so what we are actually trying to do is we are making each and every product and services more data enriched. We are designing for mobility and devices. Increasingly, maybe because of our requirement, but government of India want to push us to become more open data ecosystem. We are making a lot of third-party vendors, startups, interfaces in our own ecosystem. So a lot of third-party interfaces are getting into the way the things that we do basically, right? And because of cloud, the microservices architectures for that matter, that is coming into the play. And increasingly, the technology in business are more getting platformized. And there are one set of platform where millions and thousands of people are using it basically, right? And most of the SaaS technology that we talk about, or the even GPS that it has in your own mobile phone, is a kind of platform. And across globe, millions and billions of people are using it, and business is also going in that way basically, right? And in AI, we are increasingly now seeing that events are taking decisions, not human. Event-driven architectures are the architectures where things get triggered by some events basically, right? And increasingly because of AI, the way it is coming in, now people are saying we may not require somebody to build solution, build application, because you have to just work on your intent. And that intent will be taken for computer as well, right? So this is happening. This is evolving basically. In the process, what is really happening is the complex and quantum and complexity of data that's rising day by day a lot. The volume and velocity at which that we are building, and especially with AI coming in, the kind of things that we are building and deploying now is significantly rising. And there are heterogeneous devices joining in the way the transactions are processed. We are increasingly now, commerce is becoming embedded into so many different things basically, right? And then we are also seeing cloud dependencies increasing. A lot of platforms, for example, it's really surprising to see even your factories are getting connected. If you are in energy company, your plants are getting connected to digital world basically, right? So that's the protocol which is designed not to be connected to internet is getting connected to internet. And entire this ecosystem is now leading to data being exchanged, shared extensively basically, right? And then we see these data flows within the organization, outside of the organization and globally as well, right? So this is what digitization means in terms of what is happening, right? And while this is happening, day by day, this cycle of designing, deploying is squeezing quite intensely, basically. We are doing many more things in a day's time, basically. And with the AI coming in, this cycle of new functionality to be deployed and designed and deployed is becoming so critically now important and so fast now, right? So all of this we are doing in the name of three things. So digitization, largely three words basically. One, we want to improve the experience of the consumer. In the process, we want to improve the productivity, and we also want to create new possibility basically. For all of these things, the digital ecosystems are coming, right? And this digitization is driving countries, driving individual organizations, sectors, and even our own individual personal social life as well. Let's try to understand what is digitization of economy means, because as rightly said by the DAAB president here, the larger, bigger context of digitization and what is happening is very important for the every profession that we work in this country, right? So digitization, we know that current is 20% of the overall global economy, and it's increasingly now becoming $1 trillion by 2026, this year or by next year. And it will probably go by to $9 to $10 trillion, because by that time India's economy will be $30 trillion. What that means is, what this means basically, right? This means that entire digitization, we already know what is happening in payment and transaction. But we are also seeing every sector is digitizing aggressively. We are also seeing the defense forces are digitizing, modernizing quite intensely. We are seeing country India is making big bet on an emerging technology, right? And then there is also every public services delivery, thousands of them are getting more digital. And even small companies, government of India is pushing hard to make them more digital, basically. And this all contributes to India's digital economy, right? And when we look at that, what that means is digital economy, right? And we can define that, right? So definition of economy is what? Experience and inclusion. So India is not only experience of citizen, it's also including the citizens. And now even somebody is selling nariyal on the street is also now getting integrated into formal economy of the country, basically, right? Better social connect and interaction, creating better value out of the business, driving larger public services, improving the productivity of the public services for that matter, making things autonomous, improving the utilization of the economic asset, and for that matter also improving the productivity of the overall economy, basically. Those are the goals we are looking at. And on that goal, we had looked at what is happening. So there are two types of the companies, two types of industries basically. So industry which is processing transaction, most of the BFSI sector will fall into this. Or industry like a manufacturing company or for that matter energy company, they're not necessarily processing transaction, but they're creating economic value. On other side, we are government institutions for that matter. So one part of the government is regulating. There's a very important part, right? And then other part of the government is delivering public services. But third important part is also creating public value system, which I'll talk about what that means basically. And this entire digital economy space, the OEM, system integrators, the mobile operating system, because a lot of things happening on mobile now, right? The devices, the platforms, and the entire products, now AI for that matter, and entire AI delivery mechanisms coming. So these capabilities are contributing to digitization ecosystem, right? And in that, what is really happening is, this is for the value that government of India has created. What value? Using Aadhaar, using UPI for that matter, using a lot of those DPIs that we have, DigiYatra for that matter, right? They all have added significant value to digitization of this country, basically, right? And this digitization process is triggered, and this is a critical core story of India's digitization, basically, right? And when we understand the digital economy this way, right, then we look at what this means to what is happening in the industry and what do we mean by the subject that we are discussing here in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of the privacy, ethics, trust that we talk about, and also the things that we'll be discussing in terms of the crime as well, right? And fraud of crime as well, right? Let's try to understand that, right? Once we understand digitization and digital economy better, right? So, so what the government of India is trying to do is, government itself, as somebody talked about, is pushing hard for digitization. There is an API Setu, and if you just imagine, a lot of those government services are digitizing a lot. Almost 7,700 plus APIs is now open for organizations to use and utilize basically. There are multiple publishers within government, within private sector, within state government as well. And these are publishing those APIs, right? And these APIs are being used, and there is this entire India Stack platform, like different applications, GSTN, Umang, or Meri Pehchan for that matter, DigiYatra for that matter, Aadhaar for that matter, is helping to push entire country's digital economy. When we talk about $1 trillion economy, this is what the effort, this is what the integration, this is what the interface is, this is what the API is getting created basically. And we see that our own transaction, our own deliveries can create tremendous amount of value to what we do as a country, as a digital economy, right? So from here, if you have to really understand, right, India's digital rail, and this is very important for all of you to also understand. So this entire digital infrastructure is creating the rail, right? What are the rails basically? One is identity rail. It's very important, right? We have Aadhaar, we have eKYC, face authentication, a lot of those effort that we put together that has created digital rail, identity rail for that matter. Then there's a payment rail in terms of multiple like UPI, IMPCS, so many such kind of products that we brought together, and these are interfaces, which is not only by one individual organization, is pushing the India's economy ahead, right? We also created document rail for that matter. DigiLocker is very significant part of this, right? Digital certificate, e-sign, we have created document rail as well. We are also significantly pushing for creating data rails as well. So what that we are doing, account aggregation, consent management, open finances, and we are creating quite intense effort to make sure that data is being shared to push the digital economy agenda better in the country, right? And then we are also creating commerce rail, and some of you must be doing this open network for digital commerce for that matter, which is trying to integrate, trying to get a gain of digitization to smaller vendor as well. And there's a network for that basically, right? And this ONDC, logistic, Gati Shakti, many of those initiatives are helping us to enhance the capability and value out of the commerce that India has done. And to take care of all of this, we are also creating entire interesting ecosystem of compliances and regulation as well. And that is where most of you have been helping to address these kind of challenges and regulatory issues, right? DPDP, KYC, AML, a lot of reporting obligations are there basically. So these are larger, bigger context of digitization which is happening, and having, getting familiar and getting that comprehension of a larger, bigger digitization is very important for us to really deliver significant value at a ground level basically. Because things which is happening in the organization that you are doing work is not happening in isolation. It's very interconnected to the entire external ecosystem. A lot of organizations use Aadhaar, they use the entire ecosystem for this, right? So let me take you to what this means, right, for overall enterprise level kind of issues and problems. So this is very important slide I'm talking about. So one important area is the security and safety. So now we have to understand the planes of security and safety, right? So the kind of footprint, weaknesses, vulnerability that leads to threat vectors exploiting them, and that creates a lot of national issues and problems in terms of geopolitics. It impacts the citizen, society, enterprises, and nation. This is one key kind of a plane when you talk about digitization and challenges of that basically. Second challenge is the crime, economic, social, personal, and serious crime for that matter. Serious crime is using internet for drug trafficking for that matter, using internet for terrorist activity for that. This is one important kind of a plane. Second plane of this is a consumer trust, where the DPDP comes in, how you collect data, how you process data. And there is a tremendous amount of the asymmetry between end consumer and the organization which are collecting information. And because of that, we created, this leads to harm, this leads to kind of a loss, and that's why DPDP kind of acts comes to protect the rights of the individual in the digital ecosystem, and that's the trust issue, right? And now because of AI, what is really happening is the ethics as a subject which is coming, how transparency, competition, fairness, data quality, all of these issues becoming very important, how you collect data, process data, how can you create intelligence out of it, all that matters a lot here basically. And on top of that, there is this entire fraud that needs to be looked at, and frauds are identity, social, transactional, and platform-based fraud basically. So these are overall comprehension about different subject matters that needs to be discussed in the context of digitization, that needs to be developed, and the regulations are coming to take care of all of them at a national level and at an individual regulator level as well, right? So I'll have one or two slides to talk about the crime and fraud. So the ramification also needs to be thought. And AI is creating big challenge for us. And now, until now AI, but mythos, anybody heard about this word mythos? So what it does, and it will significantly change the game. It is a new world. And current world's ideas will not hold water, the world that mythos kind of models are creating to the table, right? So what it is basically, right? So tremendous AI advancement of the capability in terms of what it can do, synthetic generation to long context reasoning to parallel personalization and persuasion to so many different things that these kind of models can do. And these models can be leveraged to do so many different such kind of product. Synthetic identity creation, fake KYC, deepfake authorization, AI adapted phishing, fabricated invoices and claims. So we'll see a big jump in terms of use of this capability, and these capabilities are until now with elite class of people. Now this is getting democratized. $20 per month is something that you have to pay to get access to this capability. This will create a different kind of a challenge in terms of these frauds that could happen, the security issues that will get created out of it, basically, right? And then it will certainly need different kind of a fraud resilient and control mechanism. And one of the important learning out of it, this is how this AI will turn the entire game of the security in fraud for that matter, and how do we prepare? And this preparation has to be very fast. Because these models are almost every month new models are coming basically. And once this model comes in, models are helping model to getting this much better. And we'll see entire new world in coming 2-3 years of time. And as a profession, as a domains that we have, are we prepared for this basically? So this is one of the important discussion that I wanted to have it here. And I will conclude with this, the financial forensic for that matter. And we had a session here, and I definitely want to contribute my bit here, is in terms of financial forensic, right? What kind of thing you will be required to face the AI world forensic, right? Your ability to do the money flow reconstruction, your ability to understand and verify the document. There is a mule detection. You know that the AI is helping to transfer money. And we have a center in Bangalore. For one fraud, is 6,000 to 7,000 accounts the money is getting rolled, almost 13, sometimes to 30 different levels of the banks basically, right? How do you detect that basically, right? How do you create the evidence create case, right? How do you understand the link for that matter, right? How do you understand the intent of the transactions and whether, because the AI is being used for transaction processing as well, right? So intent and transaction processing needs to be checked. What kind of control failure mapping that you can think about? And one of the important thing is topology intelligence to understand the entire things at a scale and speed and value at which that you can think about basically. So these are some of the things for my bit to the conversation that you have been doing since yesterday. And I'd like to conclude with this slide. Thank you very much for this opportunity.